Sparkling just needs like some sort of image link for you to see the information.
Yeah, cyber eyes are probably the best thing that you almost get if you're cybered up. Because you can have thermographic vision, you can have, low light vision, stuff like that, especially if you're just human. Well, you don't want to be...
Should I get a control rig?
Yes.
Yes, that is the necessary part for rigging.
Alright.
Yeah,
Well,
you hook up any vehicle or drone you have to the rig, and you can basically just hot swap between them very easily and keep them protected.
sweet.
Now, I believe you can either have a control rig that is external or internal, but I would suspect you want the internal.
Probably. It has a drop thing where it says data jack and sim module hot.
Let me see. Cyberware. That's control rig.
Yeah.
On the control rig? Yeah.
Yo, cyber eyes look fun
wait.
though.
Or are you talking about the data jack?
I'm saying the control rig has two things that drops down from it, data jack and sim module.
I think those are just things that come with it.
With it. Yeah,
they're grayed out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means they come with it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like if you get CyberX Basic, it gives you image link. If you get a higher rating of something, that allows you to put more stuff in. Every rating gives you greater defense and also more stuff you can slot in. Because here, well, depending on what we choose, when we make our decision of what the world is going to look like, which I'm gonna pull up in a moment, we can control that. Essentially, I'm going to try to say that everything that's in the book is still applicable, but the aesthetic of it will be different.
Right,
Like,
minimum changes just so we have minimum headaches here.
Yeah.
So, because now, in the earlier book, there was no wireless. Well, there is wireless, but if we choose to do like a 1980s style, 1890s game, it will be like you pick up a comlink and it's like a very chunky cell phone, right? As opposed to be like a USB size stuff. Like, let's keep it more aesthetics rather than, oh yeah, I'm going to eliminate like 2/3 of the book because that wasn't in the second edition or first edition or whatever, I guess.
Okay, so 43.
Talking of which, let me pull up my...
Alright, so I've
my
spent
doc.
57 new yen. 57 grand, that is. So I'm like halfway there.
Everybody got the questions document?
I didn't see that. Sorry.
Yep. I got it up right here. If you scroll up like in this chat right here, it should be at the very top.
You're talking
pre-posted it.
You're talking the Discord chat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This up as well.
Not the Roll20 page link.
No.
Oh, questions. Okay. Yeah, I've been super busy with a lot of things.
Don't worry about it. It has explanations on the page, so it's just a matter of, and I'm going to go over. So, but I would like Acklo to be here if he's
Pink
available.
Mohawk, huh? Nice.
Yeah.
Black trench coat is Deus Ex, huh?
Yeah, that's an example, yeah.
I'm here from you, Natco. JC, a bomb.
Oh, we talking Deus Ex? The original or Deus Ex Human Evolution?
Probably the original.
Probably
Okay.
original.
Because I like
Revolution
both.
takes like a lot of like some of the aesthetic stuff, but just like is also influenced by like iPad aesthetics too. I guess that's all.
Yeah, well, these is style. Those first two questions are about style of play. The other questions are about style of the world, right? When it's set and all that. So yeah.
I'm just looking at all the cool cyber limbs that I can't get.
I was honestly thinking about getting one, I'm gonna be honest, but I don't know like what I want.
I actually thought about that too, but then I just decided to make my character deaf instead.
That works.
Yeah. And then I have to get like cyber eyes, so I guess that counts.
A cyber arm gyro mount. That's
for a big gun, yeah.
descriptors. Jesus.
So is anybody getting a rocket launcher for any of our espionage adventures?
I feel like maybe those two things don't go together.
No, they don't, but somebody will do it.
I'm gonna hang out in the car and like pilot my Amazon delivery drone, so I'm good. It delivers bullets. That's the secret.
totally possible. You could just put a rocket launcher on your helicopter and then remote control it to wherever you want.
Well, when I get my space card, don't worry, it'll have rockets.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I was trying to, I was like, I gotta remember what Edge does, and Edge is not that complicated. Edge allows you to do push your limits, add your Edge rating to your test either before or after roll. This can allow you to take tests that might otherwise have dice pools of 0 or less thanks to various modifiers. So using Edge makes the rule of 6 comes into play. For every 6 you roll, count it as a hit and then re-roll that die. So it gives you exploding die on that. If you use the Edge. Second chance, re-roll all die that did not score a hit on a test roll. Seize the initiative. That's you can move up in the initiative. You get a higher number. Blitz, roll the maximum of 5 initiative die for a single combat round. That's if you don't want to just roll, you want to go, I want to have the 5. Close call, either negate the effects of one glitch or turn a critical glitch into a glitch. That's when you roll all ones or roll enough ones to overrule your successes. And Dead Man Trigger, when your character is about to fall unconscious or die, you can spend a point of edge. You make a body plus willpower minimal 3 test. If you succeed, you may spend any remaining actions you have on a single action before your character blacks out. It's the "I'm gonna take you with you, son of a bitch" point of it. Honestly, I think Ackloyd is asleep. I wouldn't be surprised.
He's been sleeping all day then.
That can happen. It's Sunday. I don't blame him.
It's true.
So I guess we are live. Hi everybody. Sorry for the delay. Welcome to Shadowrun session 0 and / sessions 0.5 of Shadowrun Mirrored Soul. With us, we have a good cast of people here. Some of them you might know from other games here in Raptor channels, including myself, which I was running the last Sunday game of Greyhawk, just last Sunday, when this is being transmitted. And we have on our table of players. Let's start with Ractus.
Yeah, hi, it's me, Ractus. I don't know what to put here because we're not really doing anything. You've got my name? Cool.
We'll eventually get the character name. So. Next up, we have Robert.
Hello, everybody. You know what? I'm just going to plug stuff. Is that all right?
Go for it.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Rob. I host the Pathfinder game on Wednesdays. Be sure to check that out if you can. And I also write for the website techraptor.net. And I have my own streaming channel, twitch.tv/partygoblins. We're playing through Jade Empire. And, oh boy, is it janky at times.
Yeah. Yeah, the PC version, it's a thing.
But you know what? It's still kind of good.
I think that came out slightly before Knights of the Republic, didn't it?
Slightly after, actually.
Slightly
It's
after,
okay. Same engine.
So the
by
theme
way.
changed. Got it.
Yeah. But they try to make an action game out of it, which
That's
worked well in Xbox OC, but yeah.
I mean,
PC.
it was the action Dark Souls game of its time. Does that count?
I think
It's not
it could.
that hard.
No, not that it's hard, but it's like the same sort of the same sort of logic of hit, dodge, attack, hit, dodge, attack, hit, dodge, attack. That type of flow.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the entire game.
Then we have Griffin.
Hey everybody, I'm Griffin. I co-host over here. I'm in a bunch of games you can come see me at. We do podcasts on every other Friday. So come see us there. You'll see lessons occasionally, and you'll usually see me.
And of course, we have a new player, not new to the channel, but new to the Sunday Spot, Che.
Yeah, it's Shy. Hi there. I
Shy.
use she/they pronouns for the notice there. I've never played Shadowrun before. It's overwhelming and it looks really cool, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, just look forward to it.
And of course, I am your host. Well, not your host, but your GM. Lessons learned. So we're going to start with a couple of questions about what kind of Shadowrun world we want. Because Shadowrun is, and let me turn the light on because I'm a little bit on the darkness here. Appropriate in the shadows, of course. It's complicated. It's been around since 1989. The first edition came out in 1989 by FASA, a long dead company. But it's still now in its 6th edition. But we're not going to talk about 6th edition. So we're just playing the 5th edition version of this game. And therefore going to try to, which is from Catalyst Games, and try to have a lot of dark cyberpunk futuristic fun. For those who don't know what Shadowrun essentially is Tolkien meets cyberpunk. So you have your elves, you have your orcs, you have your trolls, you have your humans, you have vampires, or one of the ways if you are familiar with urban fantasy plus for cyberpunk with cyber limbs, hacking, mega corporations, and all.
Right, and if I were to pitch it, Shadowrun is what are the interesting things that happen during the fusion, like dragon corporate overlords. Things that you wouldn't initially think, but start to go, wait, yeah, I guess they do that.
Cyber samurai alongside blood-sucking vampires who throw out spells. It's just a thing that happens.
Who throw out spells and then do your taxes on Friday.
Yeah,
they got to make a living too.
And the players are shadow runners, people who are in the margins of society, trying to make a living or they're trying to make a living basically and survive, and perhaps in the process take the man down. But there's a lot of men to be taken down. So it's going to take a long time to do. So without further ado, I have a few questions. Let's start with style of play. Now, there's generally 3 types of style of play described in the community. One of them is pink mohawk. The second one is black trench coat. And the third one is mirror shades. Pink mohawk, I'm going to read from my own description, are more like your classic cyberpunk fiction characters. They're loners and outcasts who live in the margin society, have obvious cyberware, automatic weapons, as well like the background characters of Blade Runner or the biker gang members from Road Warrior. RP-wise, role-playing, they tend to not have special ops backgrounds and more anti-core political activists. Also, Pink Mohawk is described as sort of a more, Looney Tunes style of play, and really leaning on the crazier aspects, especially more fantastical aspects of the setting, right? That you have dragons, mixing with elves, mixing with trolls, mixing, with all kinds of things. So, techno-magical aspects of stuff like that. So, mostly Pink Mohawk is lots of action, get it done, shoot your way through most everything and see what happens on the other side. With a good dollop of political action, if that's what you're interested in. Not necessarily political intrigue in the dark sense, more like, we're rebels without a clue and we're trying to change the world kind of thing. The second question is black trench coats. Black trench coat characters are like the dude from the Deus Ex game, all raspy voice, dark secret having ex-special forces dudes that show up to runs out in full assault gear and like never stay in one place too long, always have a plan to kill everybody you meet kind of attitude. This is a more serious approach to Shadowrun. This is a heavy planning. This is all about the intrigue. And also from a political perspective or world perspective, all about the conspiracies and this is Pink Mohawk can be said to be the loud aspect of Shadowrun, often, not always, while Black Trenchcoat is the quiet. But most groups are somewhere in the middle, and that somewhere in the middle is mirror shades. Someone in between characters will try to plan and evade problems, but will certainly go loud in the situation, or Mr. Murphy demands it. So, having described that, how you guys see yourself, as far as you understand the setting, going. This can change. In fact, usually does change very quickly when things go south. But at least, general approach.
Let's go ahead and round table it. And you want to go first, Shai?
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say that I'm more personally feeling the mirror shades, the mix-up one. I feel like that'll give me personally a good handle on what the system can offer.
The one vote for mirror shades.
Rob, what are you thinking up there? You're deep in thought.
I mean, I don't want to. Shadowrun to me is always kind of inherently silly because of the.
Very good point.
Because of the mishmash. So in my head, like Pink Mohawk, let's just lean into like the campy silliness a little bit. But I think mirror shades can be workable too because it's the amalgam. We take the game seriously. Don't take. You know what I mean? Like, don't take the adventure or the material too seriously. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, but like either or, pink mohawk, mirrored shades, pink shades. They were called that.
Hey, there you go. Ada, what's on your mind?
I was just wondering what you're gonna pick, Griffin.
Oh, you're wondering what I'm gonna pick. It's like this is a delay tactic, and I'm asking everyone else.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a lot in the same camp as like a Rob here, where there is a lot of goofy stuff happening in Shadowrun just based on the entire premise. But half the charm is like trying to take it seriously and draw parallels, or at least take the premise seriously and go, yes, we are trying to like be rebels against like this thing or get through this, and there's obviously something happening behind the curtains. I think pink shades is probably the term Rob had here. I like that. Pink shades.
Oh, so I'm just gonna make it a tie then, because I was going to go mirrored shades. But here's the thing, is that you guys keep saying pink shades, when mirrored shades is literally the mix of the other two options. So, you can't really mix a thing that's already mixed.
I didn't want to say it, but I was like, you know what? I get what they're saying, though. They want a little bit more pink in the shade. I think that's what they're trying to say.
Here we go. I'll just pull some
Like-
shades right here of my own. And... perfect. This is what we're going for, right?
Dr. Insano, I thought you were dead.
He's not wrong.
God, that's a name I haven't heard in years.
Oh yeah.
So mirror shades with a dash, an extra dash of pink. Okay, I can work with that.
I think mirrored shades is the way to go if we're gonna go in between it. But you know, if it gets silly, lean in. You know.
I mean,
Inevitably, we will be making fun of something here, I think. It's best that we just have fun with the show.
I mean, I already gave up my brute, so I am clearly tinted towards the one that has the least amount of combat.
Yeah, and my character's name is Trash Boat, so I'm trying to have some fun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what I mentioned about earlier, I think, out of the stream, the aesthetic of tech. This will not influence much of what is available, just the look and feel of it. Now, because of the long history of cyberpunk, started in the early 1980s, as well as Shadowrun the game, I have about 3 choices. First one is 80s retro tech. Emulates the sci-fi movies and shows of the 1980s, especially the future aesthetic of movies like Blade Runner, and also a lot of anime of that era as well. Everything is chunky, square, and strictly functional. Right? It's like, you don't connect wireless. Well, there's wireless, but if you use wireless, you have like an antenna, right? Like obvious antenna, or if you have cables, it's like a parallel port that you just chunk in the back of the head, right? And so it's not that it's technology is very obvious, and think about the Terminator when gets their skin peeled off, that kind of thing, right? Very obvious, very chunky, very mechanical. Akira, if you also remember Akira as well, which was in 1989.
I don't think anyone remembers that movie now. Most influential movie on planet.
Oh wait, you're back, Dr. Insano. I thought we killed you.
Well, it didn't work the third time either.
It's like Superman keeps showing up.
Yeah.
Where's Griffin gone?
Griffin, you have to wear those now when we play.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. I can see perfectly fine with these.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
Yeah. The second
I feel like I'm
object
upset by that.
is what I call Y2K, which is late 90s, early millennium, right? Techno utopianism, but with the darker side. Think The Matrix, for example. Lens flare, bubbles, like everything is like, the technology, all the signage is like in bubble form, and glossy black dominates it. Again, it's if in 1980 Blade Runner, you would have a duster that it's like beaten down, almost like something that came out of a Western movie, late Western, spaghetti Western. Here, you would have the same, but it's like shiny and reflective, like leather, right? Like almost like plastic. If you look like Neo or some of those characters in the first Matrix movie, right? And technology is less clunky and more stylized. Also, Johnny Mnemonic is also from that era, right? Early 3D technology, that sort of thing. If in 1980s it's all vector graphics, here now they're more chunky, filled in 3D. And then we have like what we call modern cyberpunk, neo-noir, also known as new cyberpunk. In the current aesthetic, games like Cyberpunk 2077, Deus Ex Human Revolution, Lots of sharp contrast between black and bright colors, whites, yellows, and reds, and everything is in hexagons. I don't know why, but it has hexagons.
Hexagons are the future.
Yeah, so again, this doesn't affect the kind of technologies available, with just what it looks like, right? If I say, "Oh, I'm going to carry it," we're going to get some data. Well, it's going to be like I always prefer that those CDs that were in like in a plastic case that you see a lot in late 80s and early 90s anime. You know, here of course it will gigabytes, terabytes. So it doesn't matter how much it holds. It holds 1.5 megabytes now. You know, but that would be the thing. Versus in the future, you know, neo-noir might be like a USB or the equivalent. It's those kinds of changes, right? Technology works the same. How it feels and the music and stuff like that. That would.
So let's do it reverse order this time. Theta, what do you got on this?
Oh, 80s tech.
Oh, you're an 80s tech fan.
80s was the best generation, so clearly go with 80s tech.
Boxes as far as the eye can see.
Mm-hmm.
That's an easy one right there. I think my preference is for as much neon as possible, and there's a choice between like the kind of like very faded neon of 80s retro, or the super bright in-your-face neo-noir neon. And I gotta go with that. More neon, everything.
So, okay, Y2K is too depressing.
You are correct.
So, like, because that's like, it's like, I want to be taken seriously, emo, and that's not working. But I love, like, the bullshit polygons that we could get for the Y2K, personally, because I think that's also hilarious.
We talk about, you know, Sony PSX Sony, you know, first.
Yeah. But we can even get blockier polygons with like late 80s CG. So I'm kind of leaning towards 80s tech here because it'd just be funny. Just imagine like a brick phone for a colony.
Oh, I'm gonna be doing Tron Matrix at this point, you guys.
I'd say 80s tech.
Well, you better start practicing your frisbee. Otherwise, you're never gonna beat Master Control.
Oh geez, all right. Looks like I don't know. I kind of want the Tron aesthetic. I want some random glowy bits on my solid black machines.
Hey.
Some random like neon blue accent or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just so pointless. I want it.
So 80s aesthetic it is, with a little bit 80s to the early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
but not past the year 2000.
Throw in a little bit of Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
What, the book? The book that has nothing to do with the movie?
Not the movie, not the book.
Now here's where things get complicated, especially for those who haven't played. But I will try my best to explain this. This is the era of play based on editions. Again, it's mostly aesthetic, but it can change a couple of things depending on how much your characters know or don't know, and whether you can make big changes or you're dealing with something that is very much fixed time. So game eras, D4, which is the year of the first edition, not came out, it came in 1989, but it's projected to 2054. First edition Shadowrun, everything is new. Think the Shadowrun Returns trilogy. Nothing is set in stone, and your characters can change history if they can spot it. Because every time there's a new edition, they have one big event or two big events that change things, mostly to justify why they're updating the book to the new technology. Like wireless technology didn't come in until 4th edition, right? I mean, so there's that. Second one is 2058. Chicago happened, and the world still changes at prodigious rate. Basically, what happened was the city of Chicago got overwhelmed by insect spirits, bug spirits, and so most of Chicago has been lost. 2064, the Matrix reset. One crash leads to another, but somehow the information flows. This is the age of technomancy and AI. You can have technomancers earlier, so I'm not going to say that Griffin's character cannot be here because they were.
In this case, if we went earlier, you just called me an otaku instead, which is the term that they use for like the older version technomancers.
Yeah. Or you're just one of the earlier technomancers, right? You're a rare example of it. Where later
Nerd.
Nerd.
And also there's more AI and stuff like that. What basically happened, there's been 2 Matrix crashes. Well, the internet crashed, and then the Matrix crash, which is the term for the post first crash, which explains why there's full immersion and people can just have VR and AR and all that. And 2075, which is the current year of 5, right? It's 2575 to 2078. You open the book, it says this is what's happening time-wise. That's what's happening. No change. So those are the eras. Let's start with Robert, who had some good ideas. What do you think about Actually, you haven't. Yes, you know about Shadowrun, but you haven't really played a lot, have you?
No, all I played was like a couple of sessions of 4th edition, and I hated it. So, and it was a while ago too. So I don't even ask me if I remember, because I don't really remember too much. Like when you say the current year for 5th edition, like what is the big thing that changed? I guess would be the question.
There's 2 things that happened. The 2nd and 3rd edition was the death of Dolkensan, which is a dragon that ran for president of UCAS, and he died on his way to the White House. He was confirmed, and on his way to the White House, somehow something happened to his car and it blew up.
Of course,
and that shaked up everything. And the collapse of the Matrix 2.0. Right, the first Matrix system collapsed. There was a battle in the shadows. Nobody knows exactly what it was. Rumors of AI involved in all that, and viruses. And now a new Matrix has come in, which includes wireless Matrix.
And
but
that's the 5th edition setting right now, basically.
Yeah, it's the 5th edition setting. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like in my head, based off the tech and based off of what we're looking at, that 2058 to 2064, somewhere in between there, might actually be the place to go. The reason is, like, the tech is not wireless yet. It's still, like, all this, like, crazy, like, old stuff. And we're going kind of 80s. 80s with it, with a dash of silly. So, I'm gonna argue for 2058. Chicago happened. And everything is still, like, rapid pace changing.
Yeah.
So, everybody's used to, like, the fact that there's vampires and shit around now. But, that's about it.
I mean, this would be the start of the wireless stuff, because I don't want to eliminate stuff that is already there in the book.
Yeah,
but
that's fine. That's
more
fine.
primitive, right? I mean, that's let's say about that. This is where people start. There's more heavy AR stuff, like holograms and stuff like that, and this is the beginning.
It's America Online.
Yeah,
we got the dial-up tone, kids.
Someone takes a bunch of RFID tags and just hurls them at you. Each of them has an AOL logon on them.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but
that's the world we live in now.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my argument. So,
Chai, I know you don't know much about the setting, so let's see what throw a dart at the wall if you want.
I'm just gonna pick D. I'm gonna go for the vanilla option for the system because default is easiest when you don't know.
Incredibly true.
Yeah.
I will happily do whichever it lands on, but I don't know enough to make a real call.
Okay, it's almost done.
Yeah.
Alright. If I were to go ahead and throw my hat on this, I would say C or D. I think, like, having all the AI and, like, AI is a fun thing, and there's lots of weird stuff that happens. Before that point, they're just, like, weird villains that show up, do a really weird thing, and then disappear forever. And now we have this element integrated into the system, and there's more interesting things that can happen there in terms of, like, continuing plot lines, if that's, like, a thing that you're gonna do here. Also, it gives us, like, a good keynote to work from. I know, like, when I look at the lore of these things, I go, alright, what did they say, like, happened in, like, the last 15 years? At least when you do that research, you can say, well, I have these things to work with, and you can maybe extrapolate from there instead of just inventing whole cloth, which is harder. I understand. That leaves Theta.
Yeah.
Oh, D, 2075.
Okay.
I want everything that's official to be official.
Yeah. The reason why I suggested the earlier ones was that there's a lot of weight of these. It's a setting that has a lot of things that happen, and then they're good to be mined. It's like, oh, I can go to Google and research it, but at the same time, it's like, oh, this happened, therefore that could be something that we can't do or deal with because it's already established. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I don't know about this. Oh, everybody's talking about this dragon that died. I guess
have I told you who really shot JFK yet? Because just because something happened, and we all moved on doesn't mean I can't still bring it up.
I
There
mean,
was
conspiracy
more than one
theories-
shooter, is all I'm saying.
Conspiracy theories are a skill here as well. So, yeah.
Mhm.
We con you.
And location. Now, this has about 5 or 6 options. This one has the most options. The classic setting is Seattle. Most of the documentation throughout the years has been Seattle. That's the city that Shadowrun is set up, which is interesting because they talked about Seattle before Seattle became a center of technology and I mean Microsoft was in the area, but it didn't have to take it off the way it did in the 1990s. A combination of music and technology, right? The other locations are basically other big cities. Chicago, Bug City, right? You could be living on the margins of Chicago, especially in the modern times where the UCAS government and other institutions have sort of pushed back against the bugs, but haven't completely taken over. Killed all of them. Los Angeles. That would be pretty good because that's in the free state of California and the Republic of California. But California has been occupied by multiple powers and divided. But if you want to do like a heavy entertainment business kind of thing, LA still is the center of entertainment for at least in North America. Not necessarily the world, in other places like Hong Kong, etc. But yeah. Next one would be Portal to the East, Hong Kong. I suggested that because the last game in the Shadowrun trilogy that came out was in Hong Kong. It was pretty cool. So there's some material there to work with. And basically no fixed location, right? You could start in Seattle, but go across America, across the world. Like the next run is going to be in the German states. The other one could be in one of the tiers. Then the next one could be you got to go down to Amazonia and do something, right? But the one thing about that is will probably take you against very heavy hitters very quickly, right? Because the assumption is that you're not going to travel across the world just to jack like a vending, which is
Well, what
totally
if it's a
possible.
really good vending machine, though?
I mean, we could be incredibly hungry.
True.
Wait, is that what you thought? My
Yeah, why
first
not?
thought was Shadowrun. Clearly going to Japan to get those dirty used panties.
So that is your definition of a good vending machine. Got it.
Yeah.
Right next to the one that gives you full pizzas.
Shit. Personally, I actually thought about this question before we even went into this. I really want to see what like LA might be like in this kind of setting. But if it's like focused purely on like the entertainment aspect of like what we might do, I don't know. But
I think there's more to it. But
yeah. But I want to cast my vote there. I just think that I like alternate LA as a setting in general.
I want to slide in there because my vote was also LA, so there's 2 for LA.
We on a wavelength today. Let's go.
Oh wow, what a coincidence! I too also happen to like LA, and the last time I was trying to write something, I was like, LA, it's great. It's got so many cool things. It's got Disney World.
See, I'm going to be the prick that say I'm going to pick New York, just to spite you all now.
I wasn't
Yes,
complaining.
Not that
Disneyland.
it, not that it
Not
matters,
Disney
but
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
I just need to be different.
no,
tiny compared to this.
I was always going to pick New York, mainly because I have yet to see a Cyberpunk or Shadowrun game or any setting for that matter that uses this aesthetic that actually takes place in New York.
Deus Ex, the original,
The original, was it?
which had like a
Yeah.
single square of New York, but it was technically New York.
That doesn't count. I need.
It totally counts. You go to the Statue of Liberty
Yeah, you
That
start
doesn't-
there.
because everyone goes there.
But yeah, I guess LA is going to be it then.
Now, there is an optional rule that I want to introduce that I took from my Iron Claw game, and I'm going to put it here. And that is, based on your backgrounds, if you have any extensively, I want to add to the edge rule that if you do once a session, if you do a recollection of your character before the current situation, like your training, your contact, etc. It's like, oh, I remember when this happened. You do a flashback. That's what I'm talking about. You get a flashback. You get immediately one point of edge to be used at that moment.
I dig it. I think that's cool. I kind of liked it when you were doing Over and Iron Claw, and it kind of works here. One edge, like, isn't gonna totally break the game here either, so it's all good.
Yeah.
In fact, you're probably expected to have, like, 6 of it.
Yeah. Just give me more.
Okay. Time for me to get out of the costume. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, I couldn't even be
Freedom.
bothered to put sunglasses on. I mean, they're literally right there on the other side of my screen. You know,
Oh man,
I'm 10 inches away from my fist.
I've not had a good pair of
Literally a mile.
sunglasses in like a decade at this point.
Oh, I always have them just in case I have like a migraine or something. The darkness always
see.
helps.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, in any city, it can work, right? Seattle, because there's so much, upgrading about Seattle, it's what works. But for example, California had Japanese imperial forces in the north, and one of the tiers has invaded, and Native Americans have also pushed into the west, and there's tech companies, and in the south there's Aslan troops that have taken over. So everybody's crowding into California, right? And you have gang warfare, and you have all kinds of things. So the rich and the poor, and the remnants of the Hollywood mixing with everything else. So yeah.
At least now that we've chosen a place, it's really easy for me to make sure my character's set up for it. I just change area knowledge to LA and street gangs to LA, and I'm done. In fact, Horizon Group is now even more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
There's one I have, which is Regency Mega Media, which I guess was a shot in the dark of like, I wonder if that's gonna be a thing. Because I don't think they're like actually one of the AAAs. It might be like an arm of something else.
Regency?
Yeah. Regency.
Regency Media, Shadowrun. I can check it out.
Yeah. Because maybe I'll just pump that like over into Horizon or Pop Culture.
Yeah. Regency Mega Media. It's a AA. So yeah, it's big enough. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and keep that, and I know like 2 different places I can hawk my acting at. Perfect.
Yeah. And they're basically Bollywood. Regency was a major media corporation native of the Indian Union, with Megamind was headquarters in Seattle when Shadow dominated the entertainment industry. Yeah. So
There you
basically, it's Bollywood.
The competition.
So yeah, they're probably going to try to get a muscle into all Hollywood.
Awesome.
That's why they have no. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So now I know Chai. Sorry. You're still making your character.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So we can give you keep helping you on that. I just want to make sure we got all those questions out before.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Of course, if Arcloid does join us a little later, we could probably revise that as well with Darian. So where are you now? Did you pick your basic cyberware?
I picked some cyberware. Yeah. Picked myself up the control rig, cyber ears and eyes, the skill jack, and I grabbed myself a smart link.
Okay. You might want to bump up the ratings from basic.
Yeah, I was actually
4 or
going to
5.
ask you
About 4 or 5. Yeah, would be good.
Yeah, to like grades and stuff. So that's where I make it alphaware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely wanted to do it with the control rig and the eyes at the very least.
Yeah, because again, people can actually, because of wireless technology and AR technology, people can actually hack into you and take over.
Yeah.
So you don't want them to do that. Although you have a technomancer that can also try to protect you, so that's the thing. I mean, literally, people can hack your pants.
Yeah.
So if it's wireless, it can be hacked.
What's the item that you're talking about? Because the smart link, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Or anything that has the rating and is wireless.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because I do have a smart link. I want to make sure I'm also on page with this.
Smart link is for gun. For your gun.
Alright. Then what was the thing that you were saying? Like, what was the other hacker thing?
Well, data jack.
Data jack. Okay. That I don't have. Then never mind. I have a skill jack. Is that different?
Skill jacks is basically, it's like think of it like a USB, like a micro USB slot to put in, data softs, which are programs. Like in the Matrix, it's like, I want to learn Kung Fu, but instead of being hooked up to the chair, with a tube.
Here's my USB drive. Let me put it in my head.
Yeah, you put it in. Yeah, that's what it is.
That makes sense.
back of the neck, or whatever you want to put. It could be under your chin or what have you. And, usually it's tied to your hand.
All right then.
Yeah. Also, if you want to have sim sense as well, so that's.
I think the beauty here is that my character is completely dumb for this whole Shadowrun thing, so me not knowing stuff translates well to him not knowing stuff.
That's where I'm at. Let's go. We're two halves of a whole idiot. Let's go.
It'll be fun.
There's also a lot of junkyards and other stuff in this area. To also give you I put a map. Since we're using the current timeline, that map was available. What happened when, and I'm going to get an overview, it's now extended overview, what happened in major events. What happened essentially was that magic returned to the world in the early 2000s. And in the process, turned everything. For example, one of the first things that happened was that you had people either born as or transforming into elves. First elves, then dwarves and orcs and goblins and trolls. And that later, the second wave was called globalization.
Goblinization. Which is a terrible word to try to say out loud.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And people were violently transformed, and that created a series of situations. For example, and take this with a grain of salt, Native American groups discovered that they had magic, and so they were able to do a new great ghost dance and challenge the United States government, because the United government decided to have a final solution for Native Americans.
Which was to nuke them, and then they turned off the nuke with magic.
Well, they first threatened to activate all the volcanoes in North America, including Yellowstone. Right. So essentially, if you try to stop us from going independent, we'll kill everybody. Right. We'll bury them in ash. So it's like, okay, fine, we'll let you do your thing. Right. And so that began the breakup of the United States. California was the first state to go, and eventually the United States ceased to exist, and now it's two entities that claim the term of the United States, which is UCAS, which is United Canadian American States, which is most of Canada, and the United States east Chicago, and that east of Chicago all the way to Washington, D.C., and then you have the CAS, which is Canadian American States, which is the Old South. I don't know if it includes Texas or not. I have to check. Then the Midwest is mostly Native American lands. There's Portland is Elven territory, which used to be highly controlled by princes, but now it's more of a democracy, more representative democracy. Ireland is also across the sea a domain of the elves, so the Fae. Europe got racked by called the Euro Wars, which they fought against Middle Eastern nations. Germany got split up, in part because a giant dragon woke up and decided to destroy everything.
Doesn't help things.
And you can see more of that in the story of Shadowrun, Dragonfall, which is a great game. You should play it. And it's canon here. And essentially, what happened? Most of the governments of the world collapsed or were diminished, and now you have mega corporations came to the fore, and they have the ability essentially to have what's called extraterritoriality. Essentially, if you're a double A or triple A corporation, where the territory that you own as a corporation, that is considered to be its own nation. Now, not all nations have gone weak. For example, the Japanese became the Japanese Empire again, the new Japanese Empire, and they work hand in hand with their corporations. So Renraku, which is one of the biggest corporations, mega corporations in the world, is considered to be extraterritorial AAA corporation everywhere else, but it's considered to be a Saibatsu in Japan, and the Japanese government does not tolerate any corporation to operate within its borders above, the wishes of the emperor and the empire. So
right, there's a lot of cases where corporations are way more in league with the local government than others, and there's some cases where they literally are laughing in the face of the local government, and it really just depends on where you are. Technology is a great example where they're basically one and the same.
Yeah, so Mexico and most of Central America and South America is Aztec technology.
That 5 times fast, North South America.
Yeah, North South America. I said no. They don't control the Caribbean though. Caribbean League is its own thing. But it's a probably weak state anyway. I think in one map, the Caribbean League actually even claimed New York temporarily, as part as Greater Puerto Rico. But that I don't know how long that lasted.
Greater Puerto Rican New York. It sounds fantastic.
But-
Fun detail, there's also the Pueblo Corporate Council, which will be adjacent to LA and will feature prominently, because I swear it's the most put together nation on the entire planet now.
Yeah, the Native Americans have their own nations, but they were going to make one nation, but then they quickly broke into squabbles along, tribal lines, and even some fighting. So, United States essentially has been balkanized. South America is mostly known as Amazonia, which is its own nation that doesn't allow for any corporate overlordship and has been in war with Aztec technology for decades now, right? So it's a mixed bag, right? Corporations are very, very powerful. In some places, they're the de facto rulers. In some other areas, they're not so powerful. But there's no, well, maybe except from the nation of Japan, there's no real national superpower. Not anymore. No, they may still have nukes and stuff like that, but they don't have the reach. Like Russia has gone back and has been able to cover all the way to Poland. But even though they have territory, they don't necessarily have the military might to take on the corporations themselves or try to conquer the whole Europe. So there's that. If that resembles current events, well, history doesn't repeat itself very well.
It's perhaps as if people up to 100 years ago predicted things like this would have happened, and then nobody listened to them.
Yes. So.
Of course, nobody listens. They wanted to.
They didn't have money, so why listen to them? They're too poor.
Oh, it's even worse.
Now,
they want it to happen.
Oh no! Oh.
And most Shadowrunners are what's called sinless, unless you have a sin. And to be sinless essentially is to be outside of society. Sin is like the mega number, corporate government number, right? So your social security, your bank account, your identity, your electronic identity is your sin. So you have to get jobs wherever you can find them. Also with high levels of automation in many corporations, and so cyberware means a lot of people are out of work. You have war veterans, you have people who have been left without work. The idea of a universal income didn't happen in Shadowrun. Corporations are not going to pay for that. We can't really tax them so they can pay for it. So that's not going to happen. At least in UCAS, there's no such thing as national health care because, again, nobody's going to pay for it. And anything that can be privatized in North America has been privatized. If somebody can make a profit out of it, somebody else. And usually Shadowrunners are used for things like, again, breaking things, taking things, or protecting. And for example, most mega corporations work on the Saibatsu method, where essentially you're an employee from the time you're hired to the time you die.
You can have corporate citizenship and enjoy all the perks such as living in their Acropolis and working for them forever.
So, for example, if you want to change jobs, there's a good chance that the only way to change jobs is to be extracted. Send a team to take you out and then deliver you to another company where you can also work for them for the rest of your life. And you can do that voluntarily, or somebody can do it for you.
If the Shadowrunners coming to get you, have to knock you out, or are you going to go with them?
So that's basically the state of the world as of 2075. I mentioned the Matrix crashes. I mentioned the death of Dulkinson. Dulkinson was... The thing about dragons is that they are basically, as of right now, the apex creatures of Shadowrun. Right? They are... Think about if you have a gold hoard in Dungeons & Dragons, here you have stocks, actual gold, statues, entire corporations that follow your whim, right? The dragons are nations unto themselves. In fact, one of the reasons why Japan is so powerful, it has two dragons that have aligned themselves with the emperor. right? And so if anybody goes messes with Japan, they have a military, they have money, they have mega corporations on the side, and they have 2 Eastern dragons to battle.
Oh yeah,
Dun-
there's some
Dunkel-
intense dragon politics going on.
Dunkelsen was famous because he was the only dragon that actually, in his human form, had a TV show, calling TV show. And he would explain to the people about dragon culture and the Sixth World and magic, and he was very popular. So when he ran for president on a ticket of restoring Yucas to its to a better position, he won like 80% of the votes, right?
No wonder he got killed.
But in his inauguration, on his way to the White House, it was still in his human form, not his draconic form. His vehicle exploded, and apparently he's dead. And he led and not only was that important because he was a Western dragon that was well known in the world, but also he led a will, and he left a variety of money and resources and things to a untold number of people, and some of them were very curious, like some person somewhere was like, yeah, watch, like words like watch your back because somebody's gonna get you, or here's $1 million new yen in gold or something, right? And that's also because Japan
Yeah,
is the
here,
most
universally,
powerful.
go find Atlantis for me now that I'm dead.
Yeah.
Shit.
New yen is the currency in the world because Japan has the strongest and more stable economy. So that's why it's the yen. But the new yen is like the dollar. It's not like today's yen where it's about 100 to 1, where $1 is equal to 100. No, it's like when you talk about new yen prices, more or less 1 to 1. And probably the reason new yen is so stable, and because it was relaunched, it stabilized, so prices are under. We really will look to a lot of these things in modern dollars, and we're now in a second inflationary cycle. They would be more expensive, right? Like Cyber so at 5,000 or 10,000, 15,000, new yen. It's very cheap. Which today will be like 150,000 for a proper arm, something like that. Yeah. So any questions about that? I know, so it's a big info dump, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was paid too. I'm cutting out a lot of the fat and all the characters.
There's a lot of stuff to go through, like 100 years of history that they've written, and even like me, it's like, yeah, this took me like 2 months to try to absorb it just so I could get one city running. So it's a lot.
I'm probably going to forget half of this anyway soon. So
let's talk about the free
same,
state
probably.
of California.
Yup.
Shadowrun, which is also a free state in the other game of Shadowrun Ray. I guess Shadowrun California always ends up being the free state no matter.
of course.
Major cities in is San Francisco, Sacramento, San Diego. San Diego was annexed by Aztlan within weeks of California creation and independence 2036. Los Angeles was annexed by Pueblo in 2061. The Pueblo Council. So technically is in California, but it's not part of the free state if you're under Native American control. In fact, it wasn't so much that they declare independence; it was more like the United States kicked out California. UCAS in 2036, UCAS officially removes California from the Union, much as a part of Californians. Almost immediately after this, California's neighboring nations, invaded by a newly formed nation, here to the north, was able to push down to Redding, and later was pushed back to Yereka. Aztlan captured San Diego, and Japanese Imperial State invaded San Francisco. I believe the Japanese forces were retreated from that, but there's still some. They still have two divisions of Marines, and the Human Nation, which I think is human supremacists. It also has a strong presence here. Essentially, there's something called the polyclubs, which are the equivalent of political parties, or polyclubs. And some of them are very nasty. Particularly, there was an event when goblinization happened. There was a huge backlash, and basically there were riots all over the world as people who were or suspected to be either friendly to or were goblinized were attacked and massacred. And the fact that the governments were either unable to stop it or came down hard against people who were goblinized also affected the power of the governments. People didn't trust them to protect. Yeah. Again, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So there's that, and we have a map of California, especially of LA.
Yep, add that one from before. Enjoy it.
Fun city. Yay.
It's not a bad map.
That is. Some of this happens to be underwater because, of course, it is.
At some point, there was a huge tidal wave, probably caused by a dragon who is also an eco-terrorist, who also hated LA.
That doesn't surprise me.
And also at the same time that the city was rioting, so everything was going wrong at the same time, apparently.
So, I mean, I know Chai is still working on your character. Where are you at, Chai, right now? I know we come back and forth. Yeah, it's still very overwhelming. Yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, if you don't have your character complete by now, don't worry about it. This is just the beginning, chapter, and we're just gonna do introductions, and it's designed to ease everybody.
I'm trying to get skills down based on what I know of my character right now, at least. I'm kind of like poking and prodding at knowledge skills before I go looking at actives.
Yeah, knowledge skills are literally just whatever fun thing you kind of want to do, which is great.
Yeah,
knowing the city you're from and knowing some corporations, probably good stuff.
Yeah. I did get some area knowledge. I got some engineering and drones because I'm gonna be fucking with those. You know how it is.
Yep.
As one of my negative qualities, I took a mild drug addiction, so I put street drugs on my knowledge skills too.
Everywhere's a drug addict in LA. LA is supposed to play with you guys, yeah.
Sometimes you just need that bliss, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. There's also virtual drugs called Simpsons.
I know. I decided I didn't want to tamper with those right now.
BTL, which is better than...
They are really cool, though.
There's a movie about BTLs, literally. Ralph Fiennes was in that movie. The thing is all about he could recreate the murder of it basically was one of those was a snuff film. They wanted to find out who it was that did it, and because it was done from the point of view of the victim. The victim.
It's also the basis for the first half of Ready Player 2 sequel book. I can't remember. That's Ready Player 2. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah.
That you could transfer your life experiences to somebody else, and everybody just gets into that, and people start exploring death, start exploring all the horrible stuff, and changes society.
Mm-hmm. So, one more thing. And I wish Arkla was here for this, because this is rather important. Now, I would want everybody to know each other, starting. Because the whole thing of, hey, you started the Stuffer Shack, and this is your first meeting, it's pretty clumsy. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody knows everyone else. I know that these two characters, Griffin's character and Theta's character, do already know each other. So, ideally, if you don't all know each other, you at least know someone else in the team. So, say, for example, I'm talking to Griffin's character. It's like, hey, this is happening. It's like, yeah, well, I know Theta's character, and maybe I also know Robert's character. And Robert's character might know Chai's character, and Chai's character Arctic, right? Either everybody knows each other and done at least one or couple of more runs, or you're a team that's coming together. So you've done things individually or as a pair or something like that, but don't know each other, and this might be one of your first runs.
Okay.
What would be, I think, your choice?
So, the quick and easy thing is, so Shy, what character species were you going with?
We're going vanilla human for once in my life.
Okay, and I think you told me as far as your concept that you were going to be some kind of trash goblin. even if you have thousands of worth of merch on, right?
Yeah, basically grew up around a fucking scrapyard and basically taught themselves to be an engineer through reverse engineering anything they could get their hands on, basically.
Would you like to just be a childhood friend, or at least live in the same neighborhood?
I'm totally down for that.
My character
feel
lives in
like,
a terrible, rundown, dangerous neighborhood. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We hang out every night.
Sounds like a spot where there would in fact be a scrapyard.
Yeah.
And a techie and a mechie hanging out just makes sense to me.
There we go. Perfect. So now we got like a line going character to character here.
Yeah, we can say that basically most of your tech is salvaged, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And since we're going with the 80s aesthetic anyway, 80s with a little bit of 90s swapping for good measure, literally all your stuff is younger stuff that you built yourself, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's worth hundreds of thousands of new yen at the market if you were to sell it, but, you know...
When I found it, it was worth maybe 5 for spare parts.
And you spend years building it up. So, there's a way around. It's like, oh, no, somebody looks like, oh, this guy is rich, or this person is rich. It's like, well, not really. I just look at the junkyard over there of all the e-junk that I spent 5 years rummaging through to get where I am right now. Yeah. You get, maybe the junkyard is where, Ripper dogs dump their old arms that they can't use and stuff like that, right?
There's all sorts of stuff there.
Yeah, organs harvesting and stuff like that is. So.
You're what happened after
my treasure.
You're what happened after they stopped filming Junkyard Wars.
What?
Yeah, you got a lot of scrappy looking tech, but it's just as good as the brand new stuff.
I don't know what the confusion is, Rob. Do you not know Junkyard Wars?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's a junkyard where you're given a task and a bunch of teams compete by finding junk and making literal, like, we're going to have a sea battle. So you guys are going to rip off the top of that car, we're going to make some engines out of this, and we're going to figure out how to puncture Junkyard Wars. It's literally MacGyver your way through a junkyard to make a device to accomplish a task in 3 days.
Oh, okay.